I offered a courteous smile. I really must be going. My real estate agent is expecting me. Amanda sneered. What are you looking at? Cramped apartments in some sketchy part of the city? Before I had a chance to reply, the doorbell rang. Patricia shot me a sharp look and rushed to answer it. I followed the others into the hallway, where a composed woman dressed in a sleek suit stood waiting. Good morning, Mrs. Miller, she greeted me warmly, addressing me directly. The mansion is ready for your final walkthrough. The room went completely silent. Patricia's smile froze. There's got to be a mistake, Patricia said with a nervous laugh. Emma isn't. Emma Miller, I clarified, stepping forward, owner of the mansion next door. Amanda's mimosa glass slipped from her hand, shattering against the marble floor. Impossible, she cried out. I was the one who orchestrated that sale through my shell company. Yes, I responded calmly, and I imagine your commission check was quite significant. James stared at me, his coffee cup frozen halfway to his lips. Emma, what's happening? I think we should all sit down, I suggested. I've got quite the story to share. Once seated, Patricia and Amanda perched on the edge of their seats, looking as though they were ready to run. 7 years ago, I developed a financial algorithm that sold for $75 million, I explained, my voice even. Since then, my investments have multiplied. The mansion next door is just one of the properties I own. But you led us to believe, Patricia stammered, that I was just a janitor's daughter who married an idiot? I finished for her. Yes, I did. And all of you showed me exactly who you are by the way you treated someone you thought was beneath you. This is absurd. Amanda shot up from her seat. Mom, she's clearly lying. The real estate agent cleared her throat. I can assure you, Mrs. Henderson, Miss Miller's credentials are impeccable. She controls the company that developed this entire neighborhood. Patricia's face drained of color. The whole neighborhood, including this house? I nodded. I bought it last month from your late husband's estate. The final paperwork was signed yesterday. The silence was overwhelming. James slumped into his chair, realization dawning across his face. Patricia's voice quivered. This house isn't mine anymore? It belongs to me now, I said evenly, just like the basement where you forced me to sleep last night. Amanda sprang to her feet. Mom, she can't do this. We'll take it to court. You're welcome to try, I replied smoothly, but everything is above board. For now, I'd like you both to leave my house. Leave? Patricia gasped. But where am I supposed to go? This is my home. It was your home, I corrected her. Don't worry, I've arranged a place for you. There's a modest apartment in the building where my parents used to work. I hear the basement unit is particularly cozy. The room buzzed with whispers. Relatives exchanged glances, some shocked, others secretly pleased to see Patricia's downfall. James finally spoke up. Emma, why didn't you tell me? I turned toward him. Would it have changed anything? Would you have stood up to your mother if you knew I was wealthy? If money is the only thing that earns respect here, we have bigger issues. The real estate agent stepped forward. Shall we proceed with the inspection? Let's do it, I said, rising from my seat. Patricia, I'll have my team help you pack. You've got until tomorrow to vacate. As I made my way to the door, Patricia's voice turned sickly sweet. Emma, darling, surely we can talk this over. After all, we're family. I paused and faced her. Family? Last Christmas, you sat me at the children's table, saying I wasn't fit to sit with the adults. You excluded me from James's birthday celebration. Yesterday, you made me sleep in the basement because you thought I didn't deserve a proper room. I didn't mean, she began. Yes, you did. I cut her off firmly. You showed me exactly who you are, Patricia. Now I'm showing you who I am. The sound of my heels echoed through the house as I walked away. Behind me, Patricia's sobs and Amanda's angry outbursts filled the air, but I didn't look back. I've always believed a person's true nature is revealed by how they treat someone they think has nothing to offer them. My name is Emma Miller, and life has taught me the truth of that belief. I grew up with hardworking parents who taught me the value of humility and perseverance. My father worked as a janitor at a tech company, and my mother cleaned wealthy families' homes. They sacrificed everything to ensure I got an education. Emma, darling, my mother would always tell me, education is the one thing no one can take from you. Her words echoed in my mind as I worked my way through college, balancing classes during the day with cleaning offices at night, just like my dad. What kept me motivated was a secret project, a financial algorithm I was developing that could accurately predict market trends. During my final year, A major investment firm caught wind of my program and offered me $75 million for it, along with a seat on their board. I accepted, but I kept my newfound wealth a secret, living modestly while my investments grew. That's when I met James. We met at a cafe when he accidentally spilled coffee all over my table. His flustered reaction made me laugh, and that one coffee turned into dinner. James was sweet and grounded, working as a high school teacher. 6 months later, he proposed, and I accepted. That's when I met his family. From the moment we were introduced, Patricia made it clear I wasn't the daughter-in-law she had envisioned. A janitor's daughter, she said. Her tongue dripping with condescension, Patricia said, James, I thought you were dating that lovely doctor's daughter. At every family event, Patricia reminded me of my supposed place, constantly asking me to help the staff and laughing it off as a way to make me feel comfortable. Her daughter, Amanda, wasn't much better, flaunting her wealth and reminding me at every turn of my humble beginnings. Emma, dear, Patricia would say with that saccharine smile, I know a few families looking for housekeepers. Should I pass along your mother's number? I endured their comments in silence, not because I believed their words, but because I wanted to see their true nature. James, despite being kind, rarely spoke up for me. He would apologize quietly later, but his words never lessened the sting of their cruelty. What they didn't realize was that I had been making quiet but powerful moves over the years. I had acquired multiple properties, including the grand estate next door, purchased through various holding companies and tailored to my preferences. As the annual family gathering approached, Patricia insisted we stay at her house. James, darling, she declared at dinner, I've arranged everything. You'll have your old room, of course, and Emma can stay in the basement. James shifted uncomfortably. Mom. Patricia waved him off. She should be grateful for a roof over her head, given her background. I'm sure she's used to worse accommodations. I smiled. The basement sounds perfect, Patricia. She had no idea what was coming. The reunion began on a Friday. I spent the day hauling luggage, serving drinks, and enduring snide remarks. That night, while they relaxed in their lavish rooms, I settled into the cold, musty basement. Through the vents, I heard their laughter. Patricia's voice rang out clearly. Can you believe she actually accepted the basement? I always knew James should have married Caroline. At least she understands how to behave in society. More laughter. I checked my phone. A message from my property manager appeared. Everything is ready for tomorrow's inspection, Miss Miller. The mansion next door is fully prepared according to your specifications. I smiled. Tomorrow would be unforgettable. A few weeks later, James sat across from me, looking different, more grounded. I resigned from Brighton Prep, he said. I blinked. He had spent years teaching at the exclusive private school. I took a job at Riverside High. The students there remind me of you, determined, hardworking, just needing someone to believe in them. I studied him carefully. And your mother? I haven't spoken to her since she moved out, he admitted. She and Amanda tried turning the family against you, but it backfired. Cousin Sarah spoke up about how Mom treated her husband like garbage because he wasn't wealthy. Then Uncle Robert shared stories about how she belittled his second wife. It's like your stand against her gave others the courage to do the same. He hesitated. I've been volunteering at the community center where your mom used to work. They run financial literacy programs for janitors and cleaning staff. I've been helping expand them. Why are you telling me this, James? He met my gaze. Because I want to earn back your respect. Not because you're rich, but because you're the same incredible woman who stayed up with me grading papers and made soup when I was sick. I wasn't strong enough to stand by you before. I want to be that man now. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. A message from the apartment complex manager. Your mother-in-law is here. She's in to see you. James looked at me. You don't have to go. Actually, I said, rising from my chair, I think I do. I found Patricia in her small basement apartment, her designer outfit looking out of place against the modest surroundings. Hello, Patricia. She turned to face me, and for the first time, the usual mask of superiority was gone. In its place was something unfamiliar, vulnerability. Emma, she whispered, I understand now. Understand what? What it's like to be judged by where you live, to be looked down on. Her hands trembled. Yesterday, I tried to book a table at the restaurant I've been going to for 20 years. They turned me away after seeing my new address. I nodded. It stings, doesn't it? Tears welled in her eyes. I was awful, not just to you, but to so many people, living here, being treated like this. I finally see it. That was the point, I said simply. She swallowed hard. So this wasn't just revenge? Revenge would have been leaving you homeless. This was an education. Patricia sat heavily on the small sofa. I've lost everything. My home, my reputation, my son. You haven't lost James, I corrected. He's finally living life on his own terms. Whether you lose him for good depends on whether you can accept that. Her voice was barely above a whisper. And you? Have I lost you as a daughter-in-law? That depends on you, Patricia. Real change takes time, more than just a few weeks of hardship. She hesitated before asking, will you help me? Not financially, I mean, help me become better? For the first time, I heard genuine sincerity. 6 months later, I hosted a dinner at my home. Patricia was there, not in designer labels, but in a simple dress. More surprisingly, she helped in the kitchen, not out of obligation, but because she wanted to. Amanda came too. She had started volunteering at a women's shelter, one of the conditions I set when she asked to rent one of my properties. James and I were rebuilding, slowly but surely. He had learned that actions meant more than words, and he was proving it every day. At dinner, my parents and James spoke about expanding the financial literacy program. Patricia and my mother exchanged recipes. The barriers between us had finally crumbled. Halfway through dessert, Patricia turned to me, her voice steady. Emma, thank you. For what? I asked. For teaching me that real worth isn't about money or status, it's about how we treat others. She smiled, a real one this time. I just wish I had learned that lesson sooner. Later, James and I stood on the balcony, watching the city lights. Do you regret any of it? He asked. I thought about the past year, the pain, the lessons, the transformation. No, I said. Sometimes people need to lose everything to understand what truly matters. James took my hand. We stood in silence, watching the stars. Across the street, the basement apartment where Patricia now lived glowed warmly, a quiet reminder. Sometimes, the greatest gift you can give someone is the opportunity to change. My phone buzzed, a notification from my investment team. Another successful deal closed. For once, I didn't check it right away. Some things mattered more than money. And now, I was finally surrounded by people who understood that.